is according to top intelligence sources. Now, these killings are due to inter-gang rivalry between the groups that we mentioned. These groups want to own the Khalistani movement for the sake of money, and this is nothing but immigration business, which Panoon and others want to control. This is all information that we're getting from top intelligence sources and what they've been able to tell CNN News 18 about this. Now, they hire local gangsters to kill these people because their utility is over, and another fear is that they will disclose everything that they have done in India on behalf of these gangsters. We're crossing over to CNN News 18, Siddhant Mishra, to get us more on this. Siddhant, tell us more about the killing that's taking place due to the inter-gang rivalry.
Well, that's Aisha. In fact, Hardeep Singh Nijjar killing was also a result of inter-gang rivalry. So there are a lot of gangsters right now in Canada, perhaps. They somehow managed to enter Canada by making fake passports or by perhaps taking a Nepal route or some other route best known to them. And they somehow managed to enter the Canadian borders. Now, when they enter Canadian borders, they seek for asylum. They seek for citizenship. And people like Guru Patwant Singh Pannu and other advocates help them in getting the citizenship. And at the time of getting the citizenship, they tell the Canadian courts, they tell the Canadian authorities that the Sikhs in India are in minority, they are being harassed and they are being tortured by the Indian government. Therefore, there is no other option left with them other than becoming the citizen of Canada. So this becomes this becomes a basic ground for these gangsters after entering Canada to get citizenship or to get some sort of an asylum. There are in total 8 gangsters in Canada, those who carry red corner notices. And right now we're getting this confirmation that this another gangster has been shot down in Canada. Perhaps he fled India in 2017. He has been involved in multiple criminal activities here in India, including murder, land grabbing, extortion, and Duneka is a dreaded gangster who was operating his entire who was operating from Canada and perhaps making calls to people here in India for extortion money, and in fact he has also been involved in murder. Now we're getting to know that one more gangster has been shot down in an inter-gang rivalry in Canada. So this particular incident has taken place in Winnipeg, city of Canada, which is 1,800 kilometers away from Vancouver, and falls between Vancouver and Ottawa. So we are still awaiting more details. Perhaps we are also waiting for the Canadian authorities to issue some sort of a statement or making it official. But right now, the sources in the intelligence network of Canada are telling us that one more gangster has been shot down due to inter-gang rivalry. Duneka has a long history. Perhaps he is also a supporter, or we can say he belongs to Bambiar gang, has been working for them, has been closely affiliated with them, and he was active in Canada. And this particular shootout took place where two gangs, the other gang ambushed Duneka, and at that time in a crossfire he died. So this is the basic details that we have managed to get after speaking to sources in the security setup. Now we are still awaiting for the Canadian media, the government, and the security setup in Canada to react officially to the shootout which has taken place.
Absolutely. Siddhant, I'm going to request that you stay with us because we're being joined by a guest on the broadcast right now, Mr. Pathakrit Payne, who's a security analyst. Mr. Payne, thank you so much for speaking to CNN News 18. The big breaking input is that a gangster has been killed on Canadian soil. His name is Sukhdool Singh. This is reportedly due to a gang rivalry. But one important point that's coming out from the input is that he went to Canada back in 2017 on a forged passport. What do you make of this?
Many of these elements who are extremely pro-Khalistani in Canada have gone from India with either forged or fake documents or have criminal background, criminal cases. And there is a very, very strong nexus, allegedly, between the Khalistani separatist groups and the gangsters or the organized criminal syndicates over there. And therefore, there are two aspects to it. Number one, first of all, they propagate radical extremist violence, and secondly, because they are also involved, many of them allegedly involved in crime syndicates. Factionalism, inter-gang rivalry, intra-gang rivalry are very common over there, and therefore, whether we accept it or not, these killings are a norm than an exception, and they are only going to increase because there is a sense of impunity they feel within Canada today, that even if they kill each other or even if they kill somebody else, I think the present dispensation of Canada will turn a blind eye. I think the Canadian government don't even look into these issues of inter-gang or intra-gang rivalry. But when you give so much of leeway to such organizations and crime syndicates with that kind of weapon systems in their hand, with that kind of political clout, invariably, if they start propagating, as and when they start propagating violence against another country, that violence gets seeped into their own culture as well. Eventually, these become norm than an exception. It has happened in many other countries with many such secessionist groups. These splinter groups come up. So I consider many of these groups are, have strong nexus with terror and crime syndicates organizations, and it is a norm than an exception. We have seen in Pakistan also so much of rivalry happening between the terror organizations who are supported by and blessed by ISI. So I think it is only going to increase in Canada, these kind of factionalism and intra-gang and inter-gang rivalry leading to killing of each other. I just hope that Trudeau this time is more in senses, and he doesn't end up again blaming another country for these killings, for which his government is responsible, because he has allowed this kind of crime syndicates to proliferate in Canada. People enter with forged documents, fake documents, and no action is taken against them because the clout of the Khalistani elements are so strong that the government turns a blind eye even when people enter with fake documents and just get citizenship.
Mr. Payne, I want to bounce off of one thing that you just mentioned about the fact that the Canadian government is turning a blind eye to this and is likely to turn a blind eye to this killing of a gangster on its own soil. What we've seen is that Trudeau has been backed into a corner. The fact that allies are also not necessarily standing with Trudeau on this, and he seems to be now standing alone on the international platform when it comes to what he has alleged against the Indian government. What do you think the overall intention of the Canadian government is with everything that's been happening in the last few days?
Well, first of all, I think Trudeau, for the sake of keeping his own vote bank constituency happy, he has put the blame on India, and he did this without the right kind of homework. He had thought that he can team up with the rest of the G7 countries, and they will corner and block, as a bloc, they will counter and corner and, even force some kind of sanctions on India. But things have changed fundamentally from what India was probably 20 years back. Today, none of these G7 countries would dare or would even think about, ceding their ties with India because of the trade relation, because of the fact that India stands as a vibrant, strong democracy ruled by, a constitution having a very strong judicial system and a media. So they will not take a stand against India, considering the fact that most of them consider that China is the biggest threat so far as emanating from Asia is concerned. So I think Trudeau did not do his homework. Trudeau went ahead, and then now Trudeau is trying to do some kind of a course correction. He is trying to say that he did not want to escalate the situation, but I think the damage has been done. I think he has also damaged and put at risk the life of many Indians who have gone to Canada for studying. This is a dangerous thing Trudeau has done by falsely alleging and accusing Indian government for certain things on which he has no evidence. And also, I think he, by his statements, is even fomenting, potential violence in India by the Khalistani groups. And I think it's a very difficult situation where many things, God forbid, might happen in the next few weeks. And the one person who would be responsible for that will be the irresponsible statements and the action of Justin Trudeau and his government in Canada.